Okay, and we're in question 4 from the Mindful Parenting webinar, and it says, how do you draw the line with limits if a child is being really difficult? So we have a whole chapter coming up on that, but I'm just going to quickly say that, first of all, we only put limits about things that are important to us, that we have a commitment. And we're also going to talk about commitments and how to set commitments and be clear about them so that kids can also inherit those commitments if they resonate with them. So how we set limits is, first we have to be consistent within ourselves. So we have to know where we stand and why we want to set this limit. So it's not okay to just set limits because that's what we want, right? I had a mom once tell me, I don't like that my daughter is talking like her friend. That's not a reason to set limit or consequences or punish your child or anything, right? But let's say you have a commitment to their health, right? So my daughter, when she was 1.5 years, she couldn't talk really, but she could sign language. So she had this thing with cheese, because I didn't give her any sweets, I didn't give her white flour, and she had this thing with cheese, right? And I'd give her a little bit of cheese and then she would do this, and I'd give her another piece and she would do this, and then that's when I felt torn. She wanted more, so if I gave her more, I felt bad, that it was bad for her health and that I was letting her do whatever she wanted. And then if I didn't give her and she started screaming, I felt bad for letting her cry, and I felt bad for not letting her have sugar and white flour, and that I sort of forbid her to eat things that were fun to eat. So I sort of sat and looked at, okay, what is my commitment? So I got really clear that I have a commitment to her health. And it wasn't about me being a good mom or a bad mom, it was about the commitment to her health. And that sort of really allowed me gave me some freedom to stand in that place. So, the next time that I was cooking, she was like, I used to sit her on the counter next to me and I was cooking, and she wanted some cheese and I gave her a little piece, and then she did this and I gave her another piece, and then she did that again, and then I said no. And she almost started crying, but then she looked at me and she realized that there was something right in the way that I was being that she couldn't mess with them, right? Because kids can manipulate you after the age of 1, right? But if you're clear about what your commitment is and where you stand on something and you're really clear, then kids learn that that's the limit and they actually thrive with limits. I think it's the best thing you can do for your kids, to put limits that are of importance and something that you can share. The commitment, you can tell them it's about your health, and it's something that they, as they grow up, can understand more and more. And I'll give another example, because she was asking specifically about what if they do something that's really annoying or hard to deal with, or that they really shouldn't do. And I'll share again from my experience as a parent. When my daughter was 4.5, she went into this habit of throwing things and hitting people, and that wasn't okay, right? So in the beginning, I just asked her to apologize, and I asked her if she understood that what she did was wrong, and she'd say yes, but then she would do it again. So it was obvious to me that I didn't want to punish her and sort of be mean to her, but I also had to set a limit. I had to set a consequence that she had to understand that this is not okay. So that night, we were watching a song on YouTube, something with a dog, and she was watching that song and she wanted to watch it again, and I said, no, it's time for bed. So she really got upset and she took a toy and threw it at me and hit me in the face. And my nose started bleeding a little bit. So I just looked at her with a lot of love, and I let her sort of experience what she did, which is very important, because when we talk at them, they don't have room to sort of reflect. So she looked at me and she started crying. And I said, doesn't really feel good what you did, does it? And she said no. And I said, well, it's okay. I know you did it without meaning to. I know you did it because you felt upset that you didn't get your way, and you reacted this way automatically. So it's really important to also trust that they can understand us. And she nodded, and I said, okay, well, we need to learn, we need to teach your brain to not react this way. We need to learn a new way of reacting and a way to be more careful and mindful of what we do. I said, okay, And I said, well, how about we have a consequence? So every time you do this, there's a consequence. You do something that, you don't do something that you like, or you do something that you don't like. And I said, what do you think, if you do this again, what do you think we should do? She was 4.5, right? But she immediately said, I didn't even have to talk to her too long about it. She said, no juice, nothing sweet, and no TV for that day. And I said, okay, are you sure? She said, yes. And the next morning, we were walking in the living room, and then she took something and threw it on the glass and looked at me. She wasn't mad or anything, right? She was testing me. This is very important. They will test you. And if you cave, you lost the game. You can't feel sorry for them. You can't think, oh, they regretted it, so it's okay, I'll let it slide. No. A deal is a deal. A limit is a limit, right? A consequence is a consequence. So I picked her up very lovingly. I didn't get upset. And I said, sweetie, you know what that means, right? And she said, yes. And I said, okay. So no TV, no juice, no sweet for today. And it was the last time she ever did it. Because when the boundaries are clear, when the limits are clear, then it's like a game. They know the rules of the game, and they can choose how to play it. And if there's a consequence that they really don't want, then they won't do it.